Hi everybody, welcome to the Econet Evaporator Controller setup and installation series. My name is Omar and I'll be your guide in this explanation. Today, first we will start with some basic installation tips. The main layout on the controller side, you got your main power terminal block up here. So power to the unit, you got terminals L1 and L2. And then you got your grounding terminal lug back here. So that's what to get power to the unit, the entire unit. One thing on power though, before you apply power to the unit, make sure your voltage selector switch is set to the right voltage. The unit can work on either 115 or 230. You just need to make sure that that switch is set to the correct position before applying power. On the top of the control board here, we have the main harness, which houses your suction temperature sensor, suction pressure, evap temperature, and also your valve, your stepper valve connector. And then on the left side here, hidden behind these white wires, that's your main space temperature input for room temperature for the controller. Coming back down here at the bottom, main power supply for the control board, the main power harness connector, and again, voltage selector switch. These two here are your two defrost relays for your defrost heaters if your unit has electric heaters, and then these here are your auxiliary relays for your fan control. And then coming up here, we have our Econet communication port, and then our 16 volt DC power supply for a command center. And then this other terminal here, those are for digital inputs, mainly for your digital input will be your door switch input, so connected. And then of course the main board display, which is your main interface to the controller. On the valve side of the evaporator, of course, we got the valve, the stepper valve. We got your coil temperature sensor, suction pressure transducer, and suction temperature thermistor mounted, of course, on the suction line. So one thing about the evap temp thermistor is, of course, on a low profile unit, we have evap temp number 1 here with the white wires. And then there's also a blue set of wires that will correspond for an evap temp 2 thermistor. But on a low profile evaporator, it is not used. It is only for a center mount unit. Suction temp thermistor is going to be this pair of black wires with this connector. And the sensor itself is already mounted on the suction line. So on new equipment that ships from our factory, this sensor is going to be just zip tied just to the side, hanging off of the unit. So as part of the installation, once the suction and liquid lines are brazed, of course the suction line, after brazing, it's allowed to cool down. Then the sensor is mounted on the line itself and then covered up in insulation. So you can get a proper reading. Because then that sensor in combination with your suction pressure, that's how you calculate superheat. And one thing about the electronic stepper valve is currently the Sporlan SER is the only valve that the controller supports at this time. And the valve, even though it's shown mounted quote unquote backwards, it's important to know that according to Sporlan, it is a bidirectional valve, so it shouldn't be a problem. We mount it this way just to better accommodate proper fitting for the connector.